President Trump was dealt not one, but 3 legal defeats in the span of just 90 minutes yesterday. These cases involve the cuts to several programs in the federal government. So I want to bring in CBS News political reporter and attorney Katrina Kaufman to break these down for me. So this is pretty stunning. I did see a lot of MAGA faithful on the internet talking about impeaching these judges because they're not kowtowing to what the president wants to do or bending over backwards to accommodate the president. But legally speaking, what was the rationale for these decisions?
I mean, 3 different decisions came down in that 90-minute span, as you said, and they were each really a rebuke to these efforts by the Trump administration. There were 3 separate issues here, Vlad. One is that a judge had issued a temporary restraining order. This is related to foreign assistance funding. He said it was not being complied with, and he really reprimanded the Trump lawyers in this court. He was trying to ask them about what was going on with this funding freeze. It's been 12 days since he issued this order, and he was shocked that they couldn't give him any facts about it. So he has now said that they have to pay this out by midnight tonight. This is hundreds of millions of dollars, and the DOJ is appealing. There's some news that the USAID funding recipients have until 1 p.m. to respond to this, but this could all play out very quickly. Another decision that was made in that 90-minute span was a judge blocked the Office of Management and Budget from freezing federal assistance. This is federal grants and loans. She said that the nonprofits that had brought this case just showed that it would be an economic catastrophe for them to do this. You know, she was essentially saying that they can't just pause $3 trillion in funding overnight or expect these federal agencies in 24 hours to review all of these grants and loans for compliance. It's just too high a burden.
So they're not saying that all they're saying is that there needs to be some type of methodology and implementation before these things can happen, right? It's not ruling as to whether or not he can or can't do these things.
I mean, one, I think it shows they're just happening too fast. But with the preliminary injunctions, it does show that they think there's a strong likelihood that the plaintiffs could prevail. So that is the case here. And then the third ruling was related to blocking Trump's effort to suspend the U.S. refugee resettlement program. That was another preliminary injunction. And here they're saying that Trump does have, broad discretion, but he may have exceeded his authority in this case. This is a program that was implemented by Congress over 40 years ago. We've let in 3 million refugees through this program, and he just might not have the right to do this here.
Let me ask you about these Department of Justice rules that the president, that have to do with the January 6 pardons that cover other crimes, but there's also this renewed push to have details of Jack Smith's investigation released as well. What do you have on that?
So there's a multi-pronged effort to get that second volume of Jack Smith's final report released. And as a reminder, that's about the classified documents case. It was not released because there was still a pending case against his co-defendants going on in the 11th Circuit. So Judge Cannon, who had presided over the case, issued an injunction. Now there's an effort to get both that injunction lifted and this report released. And one argument that I think is really interesting comes from the Knight First Amendment Institute. And what they're saying is that when the report became a part of the case in Judge Cannon's court, it essentially became a judicial record. She had asked the Department of Justice to submit it so she could review it. She relied on its contents when she decided to issue that injunction. And so as a judicial record, there is a presumption of a right of access to the public. So essentially, it's not just up to the Department of Justice whether this gets released, they're saying. It's up to the court. So they've entered this motion to Judge Cannon's courtroom. She'll make a decision on it. I think we will likely see this elevate to the 11th Circuit.
Wow.
But, it's interesting that they're basically saying this should now be a public court document that we get to see.
Wow. All right. To be continued, no doubt. Katrina Kaufman, always great to have you here in the studio. Thank you very much.